Hello, everyone. This is Annelies from PPRO Media Lab. I'm here together with Chantalla and Hannes. And we're going to talk to you about our AI video clip project and music project called Abbus. And I will talk first a little bit about the background, and then Chantalla and Hannes will take over to talk more in depth about the video. So I will now share my screen. So shortly about the Media Lab, we were established by the VPRO to explore new forms of storytelling, basically. So not radio and TV or internet, but other stuff like VR or AR, smartphone, wearable technology, stuff like that. Since 2015, we've been exploring these different themes. Last spring, we took part in the AI song contest. Colleagues from us at VPRO decided it would be a good idea, since the song contest was hosted in Holland this year, to see if AI could also write a song, a Eurovision song, as good as Duncan Lawrence's. So the assignment was to beat Duncan. So 25 teams from 13 different countries were taking part, and they all got the same data set of 200 Eurovision Song Contest songs. And we developed a team which consisted of computational musicologists, Universities of Amsterdam and Utrecht, us from the Media Lab, and we also recruited a human artist to perform the robot song called Willy Wartaal, that you might know from the Jeugd van Tegenwoordig. So these are some sessions that we had as a team with all the scientists working together with really trying to figure out how to do the song. And what we decided on is that we actually combined the Eurovision set with a much larger set called the LAC set of about 40,000 different pop and rock songs, because the Eurovision set itself was much too small to train on. And we also combined them with Meerten's Liederenbank set, which is actually a set consisting of Dutch folk songs, since of course in the Eurovision song it's very important to have the folk theme of a country. And then one of our team members called Aran Lyon, he had already developed a tool working together with some artists, the artists that are also in the panel with us here, called Telemagic. They had developed this tool called Mosaic for their AI music performance, and we actually were able to use that tool for the song. And then we also worked on getting not only Willy performing, but also an artificial version of Willy performing. So we also synthesized his voice. And then a part of the UvA team, they built actually a hit predictor. So they measured all the different songs in the Eurovision set to see which elements determined their hit potential. And we measured all the outcomes of the tool to those measurements. So then we could see whether the generated music actually had hit potential. So these are some shots of the team at work and listening to the outcomes, which were sometimes very, very strange. And then it was not part of the song contest, of the AI song contest, but we thought, well, if we have a song that is composed by AI, maybe we can also have the visuals composed by AI to match the song. So make a music video to go with our song. And that, to achieve that, we organized a hackathon at the Forum Groningen, a beautiful new museum cultural space in Groningen. So these are some shots from the hackathon where 5 teams worked together really hard for 5 days to create visuals to go with the song. And the song wasn't finished by then, so we had some sample music for the teams to work with. And here you see the winning team with Chantalla and Hannes in it. They called Untapped Potential, and they won with their concept. And Chantalla will tell you more about it.
Thanks, Annelies, for the explanation. I'm Chantalla. I'm a media artist, and I work a lot with interactive media and virtual reality. But this was really the first time for me to work with AI. And in my team was Hannes.
Hi, I'm Hannes. I'm also a media artist and a musician, and I work with humans, technology, and media, and as creative things.
And so it was really fascinating to work in this hackathon, because this was really the first time to dive into AI and see what kind of creative content we could create with it. I want to quickly walk you through our concept. This is our team: Hannes, Chantalla, that's me, Vincent, Tekele, and Ties. And we created a concept about which elements do we need to create a really nice music video in the style of the Eurovision Song Contest, and can we replace these elements by, instead of human creations, by AI creations. And a few of these elements was to have a dream candidate. This dream candidate was Willy Wartaal. We made a 3D scan of him so we could control his. We created his AI face, an interpretation of his face by AI, which created very strange outcomes, useful and very unuseful. But you see here already this very AI aesthetics where we were looking for him. And then we made this AI interpretation of Willy Wartaal's face sing. And then we needed a dream stage, an environment where we could put our candidate in. And we created that from, or we asked people what their Google hits are on Holland, and they sent us back all these images. And we created an Amsterdam from these images, which are all Amsterdam and tulip images, very high saturated. This is Ordegan we created. And then we took the 3D geometry from Google Maps and we created this 3D environment. And we painted this environment with our Amsterdam again to make a very colorful environment for Willy Wartaal. And then we needed a killer performance. And so we needed movements, we needed dances, and we have these days a lot of kids who are dancing all the time, and these are our TikTok kids. And we asked friends from us to make videos in the TikTok way, and we put this through AI with PostNet, and we got these skeletons from them, and we transformed their movements to our 3D Willy model, and that gave us this killer performance which we needed. And so these were these different elements which we created by AI, and these were our building blocks. But at the end, we had to build everything ourselves, because that's not something AI is capable of yet. And the overall concept in there is we try to show as well how AI is learning from reality, from all the data we gave it. So that's also one storyline in the video. And I will give the word to Hannes.
Okay. So working in this way is quite strange, like for me at least, because I come from cinema from the beginning, and you attempt to control everything that you do. You create the scenes, and you have actors, and so maybe you direct them, and then after this I started to work in 3D, which is it goes a bit more to yourself, and you have more control. And this is kind of the complete opposite of that, because you're now like directing this machine, but you're not directing it real time. You're just giving it instructions, and then it goes away and it comes back with something. So you say, okay, take this and paint this in this style, and then it goes away and it comes back with 3,000 bizarre images. So you're kind of working always in this detached feedback calibration somehow with the machine, which is also quite interesting, because then you're starting to think how the machine thinks, and you can't estimate it at all because you have no insight at all in what it's doing. But you can work with it, and I think that this is kind of this is a nice thing with it, like thinking about like AI as a creative tool and not only like utilitarian tool. Because of course, as a utilitarian tool, it's very useful. You could do a lot of very complex things that would take you a lot more time to figure out. For example, you can show it pictures of Amsterdam and say, this is how Amsterdam looks like according to Amsterdam. And then all these photos have the certain characteristics, and you don't need to think about what they are because you show it to the AI, and then the AI comes back with something to you. Like this is kind of the style of that. And this is, I mean, this is of course super useful, but I also think, personally, I really like the wonkiness that you kind of get from these kind of unstable processes. I mean, at this point in time, AI is, or most of the tools we have available for AI is quite wonky and unstable. And I kind of like that personally. I think that when like a medium is unstable, it brings out the characteristics of that medium. And I think the characteristics of any medium is the main argument for using that medium. And so when, you know, the less perfectly a medium kind of functions, the more it shows how it works somehow. And I think that this happens with a lot of these artificial intelligence processes when you use them for stuff that they're not supposed to be used for, or when you push them to their limits and see what they do. It comes back with something that really shows you kind of the building blocks of the thing, and that has a very strong aesthetic characteristic and a way of being, which is interesting. And I think it's really interesting now that you have these kind of toolkits like Runway, where that packages a lot of these different little demos that before you could only find, you had to find some code somewhere on the internet and download it and put it in some environment and try to run that, which like if you're a developer, maybe that's not that complicated, but as like a visual artist, it can be quite taunting there when it says it doesn't run. And it's quite nice that you have these kind of toolkits that just combine things. And you can use it in a lot of ways. So you can try out different things. So like a lot of AI developments are made for classification and to efficientize things. And like, I mean, as artists, we don't really try to do that. We try to create something that says something or does something. But in this way, it can also be really useful. And it also gives you a really interesting insight in how these things are trained and what they pay attention to, how they think things look like, and how that also makes you think about how you learn things and how you look at the world. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting experience that has like a lot of potential as a creative tool. And I don't know if we can learn that much from it, but we can definitely do things with it. And I think that this is kind of the important part.
Yeah, I think that was both your main conclusion, I guess, from this, also from the song process and also from the video making process, that AI is really capable of producing all these building blocks, like you said, Chantalla. But then when it comes to combining it into an actual piece that makes sense and that is nice to watch or like interesting to watch, that's totally human still, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So that, like, but then it's also interesting to realize that basically like the hackathon we did was in February, and now it's what is it, September, and like stuff will have changed already in these months. Like the technology is advancing so rapidly, so that specific aesthetic, Hannes, that you mentioned, it's probably like the 2020 aesthetic of AI, and next year it will be different, and maybe the next year it won't even be recognizable anymore as being an AI produced video or a song.
Yeah, because
so I think that's really interesting.
They're trying to push, right? That they try to develop systems that are invisible, but I think that like the interesting point is the point of traction where the system acts upon, you know, how it is.
Yeah, I think that was also the part that we really wanted for the video, that we discussed a lot, that we wanted the AI to be visible. Like if it wasn't visible that it was made with AI, then it would, like, what would make it special? Like it's not so interesting.
So there's one thing, I'm not sure if you said that already, Hannes, but the fascinating part of working with this was for me as well, that you're sort of curating the AI outcomes, that you change your way as an artist. You're not creating everything yourself, but you are sort of curating the outcomes and then start to build again. And I really actually like this position as an artist, because it gives you sort of surprises which you never thought about or could create yourself, which is really, yeah, I love this experience with working with AI.
That's actually nice that you say that, Chantalla, because that's the exact same thing that Willy Wartaal also said about our lyrics generator, because the lyrics of the Abbus song, they were also generated by an AI that the team built. and he was like, I want this. Can I have this for every song that I make? Because he was so surprised by these sentences that were generated, that he wanted to work with it more often. So I think that's maybe a change in the perspective of the artist being like going to more the curator role than the actual creating yourself.
Yeah,
it's kind of like you have this artificial dog that you're kind of training, but you're not training it very like actively. You kind of have this ball and you throw it away, and the dog goes, it comes back with something else. You're like, okay, and you throw the ball again, maybe you throw that in, and then something else comes back, and like, oh, this is nice, I can put it over here. What happens? Okay, I throw this, then poof, and then something else comes back. So it's very much. It's not very controlled of what you get, but it's because you just control how you trigger things, and then you choose what you do with what comes back. But then in between, it's like the dog has been over there doing something that you don't know what it is, and I think that's also quite interesting.
Okay, I think we are ready to show the video and the song right now, aren't we? Let's go.
You've waited long enough for it.
Yeah.
So here it is.
Revolution, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. It's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel good, good, good. We want revolution, illusion, 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 illusion. There will be a day I look you in your eyes, and I'll hold you, hold you, hold you closer than I ever did. We'll be there. Hey, hey. Look at me, we're coming with the look at me, coming with the Abbus, 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 Abbus. We're coming with it. I'm so sick of being lied to, but the Lord is not a saint. Is there something to believe? I'm asking you, are you right? Headed for something, we're headed for something. Are you ready to go? Let's go. Headed for something, we're headed for something. Are you ready to go? Let's go. Look at me, we're coming with the look at me, coming with the Abbus, 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 Abbus. We're coming with it. I try to write an honest song about the thing that I do, and I pray to God that I be a success. And they all said that the Lord would soon answer, but it wasn't to be. So I took the Lord's advice and I went on my way with the songs that I had written, telling the world that I was living, 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 living. Look at me, look at me. We're coming with the look at me, look at me. Coming with the Abbus, 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 Abbus. We're coming with it. We want revolution, constant change, give to everyone, food and clothes. We want revolution, revolution. We want revolution.